listening to the Orchestra Teacher Podcast. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Orchestra Teacher Podcast. Dr. Charles Laux here, and this is episode 114. I've started school. I've 2 weeks into my third week of school, kind of in the middle of my third week. It is crazy, and so you'll see I had an episode a couple weeks ago, and now it's taken me a few weeks to get another episode out, so I apologize, but it's been absolutely nuts. We had orchestra camp, a bunch of clinicians that come in. We did all kinds of great things, getting my kids going for our first concert, which is about a month away. We're doing a really early concert, so I apologize, but I'm working on, during the school year, try to have an episode out for everybody every 2 weeks. Don't know if that will happen, but I'm going to aim for that as best I can. So episode 114, super special guest. This is a person who spent a bunch of time in the band world, and then recently, just several years ago now, has made the jump to the string world and orchestra world. And I would like to thank my friend and colleague working with me here in Cobb County, Georgia, Mr. Marc Kaufman. Marc, thanks so much for being here. Marc, you're killing it, I know, over at Lovinggood, and you're learning a lot, and you're figuring a lot of things out. Tell us a little bit about, you're at Lovinggood Middle School in Cobb County, Georgia. Tell us a little bit about your previous experience in the band world, and where you were and what you played, and all the great things you did, and then kind of you made that jump just recently after many years to the orchestra world. Tell us a little bit about that experience.
Sure. Okay. First, it's an honor to be here. You know, there's that scene in the movie Nuts with Richard Dreyfuss.
Oh yeah.
And he looks at Barbra Streisand and he says, "Well, you had good, now you had me."
Well, no. We're here to try to get all kinds of different experiences and backgrounds, and we want to learn, because I was telling you before we started recording, is like there's so much that us, the orchestra folks, the orchestra world can learn from the band world. And I think sometimes we put up this walls like, well, I don't do those instruments. I don't have to blow into my instrument and clean up spit and all that stuff. We don't have to do all that, but there's so much we can learn about tone and everything. So I can't wait to learn from you. And that's why we have these lots of different perspectives on here. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, where to start? So, my experience is the best word I can put for it is probably schizophrenic. But I started, well, first, I'm originally from New York.
Okay.
I lived there until I was 11. And at my elementary school, they allowed us to have music lessons in second grade on.
Ooh, that's early. Right? That's great.
So the choices were clarinet and trumpet.
Oh, that's it.
And they had those two instruments. And
wait, in second grade?
In second grade, yeah.
Isn't that really early to start those instruments? Because like just development and then size of clarinet fingers. Yeah. Yes, but well, okay. If I Sherman set the Wayback Machine to 4 years old, I am the Wayback Machine. I love that.
Yeah, I can tell you, when I was 4 years old, I was watching this TV show, and there was somebody playing an accordion, and I said, "Well, that looks cool." And my parents said, "You want one?" And I said, "What?" And they said, "Sure." So they went out and they got a secondhand accordion, and
that's amazing.
So, to this day, my right hand can play piano really, really well. My left hand keeps wanting to do this, but my right hand. And they put me in this music contest, and I'll never forget. I was on the stage, and this guy said, "Okay, so what key is the song you're going to play?" And I said, "Huh?" and he said, "What key is it in?" I said, "I don't know." "Well, what note does it start on?" "This one. It's in D, everybody." And then we played. And I know you're dying to know. I came in second.
Good job.
There was an old lady that was playing Crystal Cups or something, but anyway, so I started there. I looked at trumpet, and my parents said, "We live in an apartment. You're playing clarinet."
Okay.
Period.
I guess that makes sense, even though they're both pretty loud, but trumpet's a lot louder.
Yeah. So I started there. and then we moved to Massachusetts, and my repertoire expanded to saxophone too, because the jazz bug bit, and Gato Barbieri and just some Stan Getz and I just the town that I lived in, Sharon, Mass, was all about jazz, so I expanded there, and then we moved down to Georgia. My dad's company moved him down to Georgia, and that was total culture change.
For sure.
Going from pep band in the stands maybe to marching band. Got it?
That's right. You got to do marching band in Georgia.
Yep. And my band director was David Coles at Henderson High School. That's we went when I was 16, 17, 18. David Cole's still around today, and he's a great guy. And I just tribute him with fostering a love of music.
That's great.
So and then I saw a DCI show, and I really wanted to be a part of that. So I bought a used trumpet, and I lived out my fantasy. And then I tried out, and I did some of the DCI thing for a while, and then I went to the University of Georgia, and I studied under Pierce Arant, because at that point, the girl I wanted to date was in chorus, and I had an extra period, so
you joined chorus
that too.
Yeah,
yep. So
yeah.
I also did that, and Judy Pritchett was our director, and she was amazing. And anyway,
that's cool.
So
yeah, I was telling my students the other day, it's like, when I was a senior, I had orchestra, I joined chorus, and I had music theory. I had 3 music classes.
There you go.
You know, it's like by that time I knew what I wanted to do, so I had made that choice.
Yeah, well, you were way ahead of me. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I just knew I loved doing music. I knew that much, but I didn't know what capacity. And so my last 2 years of high school, I did all 3. And then I went to UGA, and I studied trumpet under Al Legati, and I studied voice under Pierce Arant.
Oh.
And I absolutely loved that. Then one day somebody said, why don't you join this one-act show that we're doing? And I said, well, I don't act, I sing, and I do. Well, sure you do. So I did that, and then a year later, I ended up in New York.
Wow.
And I went to Western Connecticut State University, and I took the train into the city, and I did stuff in the city. I was in an original Broadway cast of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
No way.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Like, what an experience.
I did this silly French song. It was yeah.
Wow.
It was something.
Something I did not know about you is that you were actually in a Broadway show on. Wow.
Yeah. Well, when they called to tell me that I got the part, I thought they were joking, and I made a total fool of myself. The guy was, Mr. Lloyd Webber would like to speak with you, and I said, sure he would, and I'm President Lincoln, so anyway.
But that's so. How long were you in the show?
About a year and a half.
Okay.
Then I did Revival of West Side Story, a David Mamet production, and then I was done.
Holy cow.
I met my wife, Jackie. I was doing a road company of Brigadoon in Atlanta, and some friends of mine had me crash a Scottish wedding, and I wore my costume from the show, and I met my wife, Jackie, there, and a year later we were married, and I decided what I really want is a family, and I really, I'm trading this for that, and I went back to school, and this time I finished, and the government was willing to pay for me to study science.
Okay.
So to teach science. And so I minored in music, but I majored.
Oh wow. Okay.
In middle school science, and I did that, and I got my first teaching job in 1991, teaching science, and Jeff Francoeur was one of my students. That's a highlight.
Who is that? I'm sorry.
Jeff Francoeur is he played for the Braves, and now he's in.
Oh wow! Okay, yeah. That's so cool.
but his mom worked at our school. But so did that, and then a couple of other detours that I took. I worked for CNN writing content, and I worked for McDougall Littell writing content, and the state of Georgia. I was a technology coordinator, and I helped superintendents figure out how to use technology. This is the Apple IIe days,
Right? Sure. Okay.
I'm just old.
It's good stuff, though. If
So
if only you would have invested $1,000 in Apple.
Oh,
at that
yes.
time, right?
Yes,
I say that too. It's like if I wouldn't have bought my first computer and I would have just invested in Apple, I'd be in really good shape.
Yeah, you and me both. Yeah, and I was getting frustrated, and finally my wife, who is leaps and bounds smarter than me, said, "Mark, why don't you do what you love?" Because this whole time I had been doing music, as a side thing. I'd been doing things with drum corps and doing things with band, and my next door neighbor and I would play trumpet, and she said, why don't you do what you really love? So I said, that's just so smart. Can it possibly work? And I checked into it, and so I took the GACE, I studied.
And for those that know the GACE, that's the Georgia test to become a teacher that you have to take. Yeah.
And I added on P12 music, and I got my first teaching gig at Loganville High School. Wow. And from there, I went to Sumter High School in South Carolina.
Okay.
And Sumter is one of the largest high schools. And,
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And John Culverhouse was.
Oh my gosh, I love John. Yeah. John was my colleague at KSU when I taught there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So
I learned
a ton from him. I learned a ton from him.
Oh.
Just a funny guy, and it's just hilarious. He made me laugh so hard all the time. But yeah, that's so cool. So this is a great lesson for people listening. If you're thinking like career choices and you're not sure, or you never know where you're going to end up. But I mean, did you ever think? You when you were growing up? Did you ever think like this is where I'm going to be? No. Right? And so, but you had different paths, and you had all these amazing experiences. Like I can't even imagine just going to New York and doing that, and then being here and there, and a science teacher that ended up doing music.
Yeah.
As a second thing. There's a lot of people who do music and go, it's too much. I'm going to go do science. I see, we see that all the time, and it's unfortunate because there's a lot of great teachers out there that end up giving it up to go do a different subject or even get out of education altogether. And it breaks my heart because there's just some amazing folks that really touch lives and know how to do it. And for one reason or another, there's a lot of things that people go through people's minds. So. Wow.
Yeah.
And so how many years did you teach band then?
Well, what happened was, Sumter, my parents were both in bad health. My mom had vascular dementia, which is, I guess, like Alzheimer's.
Okay.
My dad had congestive heart issues, and I had to come back to Atlanta. I had to be the good son, and I had to take care of them. Family
first.
So I did that, and the school that would hire me in a moment's notice was Couch Middle School, but they hired me to teach sixth grade social studies and language arts because I was certified to teach everything.
Okay, wow.
I took the TCT. That's before the kids came in, and you had
so
all
it kind of like just gave you free reign to pretty much do any subject area. Wow.
Yes. And as it happened, for almost 2 years, I did that. But in the last month of my second year, and I had on my planning times, I had gone to the orchestra room and the chorus room and the band room, and I just said, "Okay, let me teach something. Let me work with kids. Let me do music. And they did. And it just so happens that they ended up the band director there ended up leaving.
Okay.
And one day they told me, "We want you to go and we want you to substitute teach in that room just today." I said, well,
That was
who's going
it.
to cover my room? So I said, okay, I'll do it. He said, oh, and by the way, the concert's next week, and all of the scores are in the drawer.
Oh my gosh. You just got, here you go. Take it. Yeah.
That's right. And he wasn't coming back. So I went in there, and during the course of that day, all 4 administrators came in and sat down with a notepad, and they were taking notes on the first thing I had to teach them was how to sit and then, okay, not on the podium, protocol.
Yeah.
And we developed the routine, and then we actually got into the pieces. Well, that afternoon, I got called into the principal's office
For a good reason.
Yes,
Sounds like.
yes. And the orchestra teacher and the chorus teacher were in there, and so the principal said, "Okay, we're here because I want to know how you'd feel about bringing Marc on board to do what he did today permanently." And Ken said, "Hire him," and Rebecca said, "Hire him now."
Nice.
And I just thank goodness for that.
And that's something you wanted to do. You were, yeah. Oh my gosh. And that's another thing. Like you never know what can happen with your life. And sometimes it's just being there and being in the right place at the right time. I mean,
yes.
And that can just change your life. So I'm always a fan of telling people, like, you got to put yourself out there sometimes, and sometimes it's scary, and sometimes it's not easy, and it's hard to kind of to see yourself in the situation. But if you put yourself out there, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, I got a teaching job. I was looking for jobs, and I was doing some clinics and things, and I happened to come into a place, and I taught for the day, and did some clinics, and there was an administrator that came in, and a few months later the person retired, and all of a sudden they're like, "Well, remember that guy that was in here doing the clinics? He was interested in," and I went through the interview process and all that, but that's how I got I got a job, and it was awesome.
Yeah, you were just there at the right. Yes.
Right. And showed interest in initiative, and
yes.
And just doing what I do, and that just worked out. So that's so cool. So I love this story because it kind of just goes around and around, and you're doing different things, and all of a sudden, boom, it just dropped on you, and you got it, and that's amazing.
Well, I ended up staying there for 10 years.
Cool.
What he said was, I will give you this job, but you have to promise me you're going to be here 3 years, and you're going to fix what's broken. But there were some things that really needed to be fixed.
Sure. I mean, there's always things when you go into a new place, and that's hard to do. I mean, I'm sure you're probably seeing that now in your new position, and it doesn't happen in a year to fix. It takes some time.
Yes. Well, it can be argued that students aren't really yours until your 3rd year anyway, but
in middle school, because that's 3 years. And I'm feeling that now because this is my 4th year in my school. And so my seniors are now the babies, the freshmen I started. And I can really feel the ownership that they have. And there weren't any major problems with the students before, and they were all great. So if the students are listening, I'm not saying anything bad about them. Mm-hmm. But when you have your thing and you've built this and it's your baby, I think that it just feels different. And this year just feels so great for me. Already, even a few weeks in, we had our, as I mentioned, our orchestra camp, and just the vibe is just awesome. It's really awesome right now. Yeah,
but you are a big part of that, though.
Well, I'm trying.
You have this magnetic personality. So
I love what I do, and I love the kids, and my parent boosters are great, and my admin and my colleagues, and it's a dream place to be right now. So, but if you love what you do and people see it, that's what makes all the difference, Yes. And if you don't really like what you're doing, or you're not 100% invested, they can see right through you, And
that is true.
And I'm sure everybody out there has had a teacher that they know is like they got a foot out the door for retirement, or they're just not, their heart isn't into it, or whatever it might be, or they just got too many other obligations to really focus on their job. And teaching's not one of those things that you can do halfway and be awesome. I really think you need to put yourself into it, and so that's how I feel right now. And I tell the kids retirement's not anytime super soon, but I can see it down the road, and it's like, this is my final resting place.
Yeah. Okay.
As far as jobs go, I mean,
yeah.
I can see it. So that's great. The Orchestra Teacher Podcast is sponsored by Kaleidoscope Adventures. Recruiting and retaining talented musicians is essential for new orchestra directors building a program. And one of my favorite tips for generating interest is to plan a trip. There are so many options. You can participate in a festival at an amusement park, take the stage at Carnegie Hall in New York City, or travel abroad and perform in Vienna, the legendary city of music. Wherever you end up, not only will your current students look forward to the trip, but younger students will count the days until it's their turn to go. If you have no idea where to start, connect with Kaleidoscope Adventures by visiting the link in the show notes. They've been planning exceptional performance travel since 1993 and will make you look like a seasoned professional. For you. So tell us now, I want to hear about, well, you have any more? Go ahead if you have more.
No. I was there for 10 years.
So what made you decide to come into the string teaching world and take a middle school orchestra job, and you'd never done it before? This is the thing that's like, I could never, ever go into a choral classroom. Maybe I'm limiting myself, but as of right now, I could not see myself ever going to a choral classroom or a band classroom and going, yep, I'm going to do this. Like, it takes a lot of guts and determination. So tell us.
All right. Well, after my experience at Couch, and we tripled the size of the program, and we ended up going to MFA, and we did that, and that was great. But for 5 years, we had put on this full symphony orchestra with chorus program in December, and I got to arrange for it. I mean,
oh wow, okay.
We looked at purchasing, and I have a really good friend, Joel Jones, who does composition and arranging for like Hallmark and for other things, and he wrote one of the pieces we played. He did an arrangement of Polar Express.
Cool.
But the rest of the program, I went to Ken Phillips, our orchestra director. I said, okay, Ken, tell me everything you know about these 4 instruments.
Right.
Tell me what are their sweet spots. Tell me, let me soak in everything. And he laughed and he said, Mark, that's like asking, a mouse to look up at an elephant. And you can't, and like in that book, that is so huge. And I said, well, okay, I want to write the arrangements that kids can play. And I need to know this information because I'm just
right.
Cool.
Just foreign to you, right? At that time.
So he said, "Well, okay, and then he said that, okay, so this is bass, but now it sounds in a different octave, and then this is cello, and then and you don't want to have this too low because it'll sound like blah 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 blah."
Right.
And he basically he spent like 4 hours with me, not in the same day, but he's like 4 hours with me just going through. And then he said, now you understand, we like sharps.
That's right.
We don't like flats very much.
No.
We like sharps because everything that I had arranged for band was in B flat.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And that's not a good key.
No.
to everybody. I mean, in high school, maybe, but anyway.
They can handle it, but they still would prefer, a high 3 over a low 1 or extensions, right? Right. I mean,
and I didn't understand that until last year.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah. Why.
When you have to teach it, then you're like, oh, now I see.
Yeah. Yep. And it's like, okay, and the low 1, it's not exactly between not that 1. It's a little bit more this way. And you just have to know and feel it, and there's more to it than that.
Yeah.
And I learned that by having to prepare to teach it. But I wrote the program, and then every year I would add to it or I would do something. But I always felt like, and then when I worked with the string kids, the band kids were like ravenous. They just They were just, and the string kids were like afraid of me. They were
Okay.
petrified because I think I was very animated, and they were used to a much more sedate.
It's interesting when you have those personalities and what kids are used to, and then you get someone different. Like at orchestra camp, we had different clinicians, and they all had different personalities. And one of my orchestra clinicians, I would say, is I'm more on the chill side, less animated. My other one that I had, it was very animated.
Yes.
But some kids, react well to either, or some
Yep.
can do both. But that's really cool. So you were like the really animated and like in your face, and they weren't ready for that.
No, not at all. But
Yeah.
but as we rehearsed, and the three of us would take turns hosting them in our rooms, and we also took turns on the podium. And I would sit in with the band and play while Ken would conduct, or I would sit in, and Rebecca would play piano, or accompany or whatever, and we would perform as well as teach. But we took turns with that.
That's good.
And the kids saw their mind just expanded, and it's like, oh, there is a whole world beyond what's going on in here.
Mm-hmm.
And we are a part of a puzzle, but there's a much bigger puzzle that we can be a part of.
Yeah.
And after doing that, it just the next logical thing for me to do is, you know what? I think I got a good handle on this, but I really don't understand this.
Yeah.
And I really want to know it. And the only way to do it is to force myself to learn it by having to teach it.
Right.
So and my son Jared, I think
Mm-hmm.
son Jared said, Dad, I know this position is opening up. It's a great school. You should interview. And I said, I have no experience doing this.
And your son Jared, by the way, and I taught together at Alpharetta High School. He was one of the band directors, and I was orchestra director. So, and then that was funny when I met you, and you're like, my son Jared. I'm like, what? That was really cool. Yeah. And he's great. He's amazing.
Well, he's way beyond me. So, but I will tell you, the thing is, I interviewed, and our fine arts coordinator, asked me questions, and the first question he said was, what makes you think you can teach an orchestra? You've been teaching band. What makes you think it? And I looked at him and I said, I can't. But if you give me this job, I will spend every waking moment preparing myself and getting ready to do this, and I'll be ready by the time somebody walks in my room.
Amazing. Yeah.
Well,
that commitment is a lot, and I guess it would take a lot of trust for someone to go, yeah, I could see that in you. So you obviously you have that personality, and you have that vibe that people will trust in you to be able to do that, and you got to sell yourself a little bit. And it's for some of our younger folks listening, if you're at all like insecure, you still got to go in there and try to sell yourself and sell the skills that you have, because good teachers, obviously you got to know how to the instruments and things, and that's all very helpful. But I've known great musicians that just can't make it in the classroom, can't teach well, and it's just not their thing. They don't have the personality or whatever it might be, those interpersonal skills.
Right.
But
Right.
So that's that.
Yeah.
Congrats to you on having that and winning the job and being able to do all that. Yeah.
I was so excited, and the as it ends up, the fine arts coordinator's spouse is at my school.
Oh, she teaches at your school. Oh, wow, cool.
Yeah. So
she's taking home the reports like, here's what Mark's doing.
but I can tell you, you don't. There are three areas of information. There's what you know.
Mm-hmm.
There's what you don't know, and then there's what you don't know.
I like that.
I spent all last year trying to figure that one out.
What you don't know, right?
Yes. Because I knew what I didn't know, but I didn't know what I didn't know.
That makes sense.
And
Yeah.
that is really the mountain you have to climb, making the adjustment from band to strings. When you look at this as an outsider, okay, it'd be very easy to say, okay, well, in band you've got like 15 instruments, depending on how many you want to count for percussion, right?
Right.
And then you walk into a strings room, and then to the unthoughtful person, I'll just leave it at that. You can say, well, it's 4 instruments.
How hard can it be?
How hard could it be? Right. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
there's no indication of where any of the notes are. You have to make sure each one of those strings is its own instrument.
Yeah.
Each one of those strings, and it has to be perfectly in tune. And 1 millimeter is the difference between listenable and wanting to just
Walk away.
your bottom lip over your head.
Yeah, for sure.
And then there's the bow, and it's okay. Then it's how fast, what direction does the bow in? How fast does it move? How much pressure? There are all the articulations that have to do with the bow. There's
But I also feel like, for me, it's like overwhelming to think, okay, there's 15 instruments and all of them have different fingerings. All of them have different techniques. I mean, I guess the brass have a similar technique for embouchure and whatnot, but the women's like flute and oboe and clarinet are not anywhere the same. So that overwhelms me. And I've done full orchestra, and I took all the methods, and I did oboe. I studied oboe for quite some time with an amazing teacher. And so it's my favorite instrument in the wind family. But it's just like I made reeds, and it was like I was terrible at it, and the funny story
and that didn't feel good, did it?
Yeah, no, it was hard, But the funniest story is that my professor, when I was in college, I went to the reed making class, and she's like, "You got to pull the string, and you have to pluck it, and it has to be a G as you turn." Like, it was like she was just like totally making a string joke, and she had me going for a while. Anyways, just aside, but yeah, so for me, it's just overwhelming to think about the wind world, and then you get into percussion, and like there's nothing that's the same really in percussion. So I find it interesting that you see all these complexities, which as a string player for 40 years and blah 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 blah, that I was like, oh, it's this and that, but that's really cool that you explain it that way.
Okay, but think about it this way. Okay, so you put a clarinet together, and it's out of tune. Now, okay, so you're gonna adjust the embouchure a little bit. If it's a beginning player, maybe it's they don't have, but how out of tune is it going to be? It's probably less than a whole step. It's probably a half step out of tune.
Okay.
Usually it's not a whole lot, maybe a whole step, but not more than that.
Yeah.
I mean, so you can adjust things and tighten the cork, make it smaller, adjust this. Okay, now go walk up to a violin and turn the peg 4 times.
Broken string. You break the string.
The other way.
Oh, okay. I was like, yeah.
And you've got and you've got instead of playing a G, you've got a C. You're playing like viola notes, but you're and it could be a ridiculous amount out of tune, and you have to, before you can even worry about where your left-hand fingers are going, you have to make sure that string is in tune. And you're talking about 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old kids, and developing their ear, and then being able to hear that, and
then we have, the finger tapes, finger placement markers. It's kids get so hooked on those, and I'm having to take the pacifier away from a lot of my kids, because they're like, I need the tapes. I'm like, no, you don't. I promise you, put your finger on the tape, play the note, and here's the reference pitch on my keyboard. Oh, you see that the note is out of tune when your finger's on the tape, right? It's not going to be right. So what's better than your eyes in music? Your ear. So we're
the band thing I took with me to say that is sound determines placement. sound determines placement. And you can tell that to a trumpet player, and they'll understand that what that means is where
They got
you
to
place
fix. Yeah.
this. But sound determines placement to a string player is if you need to roll your finger this way or that way in order to get the extra millimeter to bring it in tune.
Right.
So
But the finger placement markers, you'll have kids that are just like, they'll do it and they're looking at you, they're playing the wrong note and they're looking for your approval. I'm like, you gotta close your eyes. I tell them, close your eyes, play softer. As soon as they do that, then all of a sudden they go, oh yeah, I'm out of tune, and they can fix it. And I'll say, now look at your finger. Oh, it's like slightly behind the tape or slightly in front of the tape. The tape tape is not everything, right? So we have to develop those ears, and it takes time. But for the initial setup, that's the tapes are important, to shape your hand.
Sure.
Right? But we got to take, rip off the Band-Aid as soon as you can.
Well, the way I explained it was, did y'all see Pirates of the Caribbean? Well, he says there's the code, and then as those movies go on, eventually they say, well, the code is really more of a guideline.
Right.
It's not actually the law.
Right.
Or they're more like guidelines. Well, okay. The tapes are more like guidelines.
Yeah.
And
exactly. I tell them, I tell my students when I'm talking about intonation and finger tapes and listening, I said, everybody's used Google Earth or Google Maps, right? And I said, what's the first thing you look up? It's like where you live, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why would you do? I don't know why there's so many other great things to look at, but we always look up, where's my house?
Sure.
Okay, we know where it is. But what I tell them is, like, if you're talking to someone from outside, and you're just like, oh, where are you from? You probably say, oh, I'm from Atlanta. But my students don't live in Atlanta. They live, in Marietta or whatever. Sure. So I said, like, your finger tape is saying that you live in Atlanta, but where you live, if you think about that Google map or the Google Earth, when it cues in right to your house, that's where the note is. And that's what we have to be thinking about. So your finger tape's going to get you to Atlanta, but only your ear will get you to your house.
Yeah, that's great. I'm using that tomorrow.
Great.
Thank you. Yeah.
So I talk about that a lot because kids understand that how it zooms in and it like pinpoint, like, this is exactly where you are. If you open maps on your phone, this is exactly where you are. The rest of the screen is your finger tape, but that blue dot on your phone is exactly where you are. And that's what we're listening for, is that blue dot. Mm-hmm. Right. So
yeah. And so my initial few months as an orchestra teacher, the biggest hurdle to overcome was how to not spend 30 minutes every period tuning.
Well,
and then everybody in the violin section lined up next to my chair, and they handed it to me. And it was like, well, okay, how do I manage tuning? And because it was a class of, I think, 40.
Yeah.
How do I manage this so that we actually get to play?
And the great thing is, like, the more you do it, the faster you can tune. But you get some kids with the problem instruments who instrument can't be tuned by anybody. Nobody can tune that instrument because it's just so bad. But then you figure out, okay, with beginning strings, when I used to just like, okay, we're doing D and A string only, I'm going to make sure those are good, and G and C and E, I'll make sure they're tight, but I'm not worried about them being totally in tune, right at this point, So you have to cut corners a little bit to save time, especially when you have 40 kids or big classes like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, with my sixth grade, we did A string. We just focused on that one string, and then we're going to move to D, but we did, and it's okay. Let's play one string melodies.
There you go.
Before I even showed you anything, just see what you can figure out on that. Yeah. And I had some Twinkle Twinkles, and I had some Hot Cross Buns, and I had some, but they were
trying to figure out. Yeah, that's
before
great.
I even put tapes on there.
Nice.
It was just
okay. Yeah, I like that. That experimentation is important. And kids can figure out stuff. Kids have great ears, and we have great general music teachers who, by the way, we all start in sixth grade here in Cobb County, but we have great general music teachers who really prepare them. I say pretty well. Especially just listening and the chorus and all the things they do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so after working my way through tuning, the quagmire of tuning that I had to figure out, then it was okay. So what are the routines that that we have? Because so, sometimes off the podium, on the podium, hands are up. Things that translate, and then there are some things that don't.
Mm-hmm.
And what translates and what doesn't. And
you're saying from band to strings, right?
Yes, okay, from band to strings. Sure. Yes. And what crossover? What can I take with me? And
what are some of the biggest things that you're seeing that work that you did as a band teacher that you're now able to do and work well as a string teacher? What are some of the things?
Okay. This is going to sound weird, but in trying to get an attack, I had everybody take a breath.
Yes.
I had everybody take a breath. And it was, okay, someday I hope you get to play with strings and winds and everything. And for that day, you have to know and breathe da. It works in winds, but it also works
in strings. It sure does. And I'm to the point where I'm trying not to count off anymore. Especially once we establish a tempo and a rehearsal, and this is high school, but we're just here we go, play, and anybody who plays before that, I said, I'm starting to point the kids out because now I've had them for a few weeks, and especially my freshmen, I can start picking on them a little bit. I'm like, you played by yourself. I bet you didn't breathe, and they're like, yep.
There you go. Yeah. And then I showed them some video of symphonies, and you see them lean back just slightly before the down bow, and they're taking that breath.
Yeah.
So breathe da is one of the things that
string players don't have to breathe to play. That's what I tell them. I said, you don't have to breathe, but you're going to feel a lot better if you do, and it's healthy. It's healthy to breathe, right?
Yeah. It relaxes you, but it's a way of getting everybody focused, but it's a way of getting everybody moving at the same time.
Great.
So we do that. We do some singing. We use, when we're learning music, we do sing counting and sing spelling. And what I try to teach them is what we really want is to know what we're supposed to sound like when we're playing. So we use some sight reading factory and some other stuff. And it's okay now. Sing count that or sing spell that.
So tell me about sing count. So sing count. What does that sound like?
Okay. So sing counting is when you're looking at it, and if you have a whole note and then a quarter note rest and a quarter note.
Sure.
So you are going 1, 4.
Okay.
You're singing and the attack is on 1.
Sure.
But you're sustaining through 2.
And you're keeping your hands together when you do it.
Well, I do a physical. I start with a physical thing, and then I jettison the physical because the instrument's in their hand.
Okay. So you're doing clapping at first, and then you're doing your rhythm singing with the instrument in the hand.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So you can't clap then, right? Got it.
Right. So, but and this keeping your hands together tells you you're sustaining.
Right.
And we pulse because we still have the pulse.
Okay.
But we're not going ta ta, because if we did 1 2, we'd be doing 2 quarter notes.
Right.
So 1 3 4. We're
sure.
doing that.
Okay.
So we learn rhythm through sing counting. Then we expand that and we say, okay, now let's sing spell.
So sing spell includes the counting, obviously, and the spelling of the letter names?
Yes, right. Yes. And we're singing, and all that matters is when the pitches go up, your voice goes up, and when the pitches go up, because I'm not worried about you singing a D that's a D. But you're looking at C, E, G, C, C. And so we're spelling. Great. Singing the rhythm with the note names.
Have you done that with your 8th graders? Like when you your first year, I should say, your 8th graders probably had not done that before. How did you get them to do it? Because it's hard. If kids haven't done it since the beginning, it's like, yeah, I'm not doing that.
Okay, this is how I did it. Okay, and you're absolutely right. They were not bought into it at all.
Right.
And it was like, I feel stupid doing this. I don't want to, we
Yeah.
never had to do this before or whatever. But
Yes. Right.
here's the thing. Okay, tell you what, humor me. Do it for this 1/8 measure section. Okay, good. Now, sing, spell it, sing, count it, sing, spell it. Both of those are pre-sight reading strategies. Now, play it.
Cool.
And they played it at about 80%. About 80%. Maybe 85, but about 80%.
But it helps.
I said, okay,
Yeah.
let's do this without doing that. And it was like 30%.
So
It was a
you're
train wreck.
proving that this works.
Yes.
And then they're like, okay, I guess I should do this. I
It's
love
good
that.
for me, but I don't like it.
Yeah. Right.
And eventually, and so in getting ready for LGPE, it was, okay, we are going to have to sight read, right? When we're in the sight reading room, how are we going to go through this piece? What tools are we going to use? Because we can't make sound with our instruments.
Right.
What are we going to do?
That's fantastic. This is how we
here we
prepare. Right.
Yeah, right.
And then like you said, you're getting 80% or more. That's great. What's wonderful.
And those are strategies, by the way, that work with just great with band too. Those are just
Sure.
Ethereal. They're just, but we looked at that. I think also there's this latency issue when you give the prep beat.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it was, but it's like da.
Oh.
There was always this
Little latency, like break. Yeah.
Yeah. There was always a space. And so in trying to get I said, okay.
So this is when they're bowing or when they're singing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, when they're bowing. This is okay. Now let's go ahead and read through our piece. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Or better yet, let's do our scales. D, E, F sharp, G. So da.
Okay.
And it's okay. So let's get rid of the latency. This is what I need. Sing da when you would be playing. Da. Good. Again. Da.
Okay.
Great. Now pick up the instrument. And the first time they did this, I just wanted to bang my head against the wall. Because this is what happened. It came back. It's like, okay, now I want you to sing. I want you to just hum, because you can't open your mouth. I want you to just hum while you. Okay.
Okay.
Now you know what that feels like. So we're going to be right on it. And I told them that there are some conductors that do prefer that.
Not in middle school.
Yeah. I said, but not here. So let's work on latency. Let's work on making sure that we're all together on the beat. And watching the whole idea of watching the conductor, what I noticed happening was, as we were playing, they would watch for the first measure, and then it was silos.
Mm-hmm.
Total silos. And I could be doing this for this or this, and they would not.
They didn't no idea.
Me. So it was okay. Can you walk and chew bubblegum at the same time? Can you play video games while yelling at your brother or sister? So you can multitask. I need you to do two things.
Yeah.
I need you to do two things. You're going to look here, but you're going to look here. Now your stand has to be here so you can see me in the background.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you have to look at me like in focus. Just follow me in the background. But I need you to do two things at once. And you can do it because I know you can do other things.
Yeah.
So that's another piece.
Yeah, I tell students, playing music is easy. You just need to watch, listen, follow, react, adjust, all at the same time. Yeah.
Right.
But that's really great.
The last thing that we worked on, and I hope this is okay that I'm sort of.
I love it. I think that people are listening and they're like, I hope that people are enjoying this, because I definitely am. I think it's very valuable.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when we play a lyric piece, a blendy piece, a beautiful like Beethoven's Lullaby.
Sure.
You haven't? I love
Oh,
that.
the Balmages arrangement. Or
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
Balmages piece. Yes. Not arrangement,
Okay.
but it's a piece. Yes.
So it was okay. And when we played it, it was the first time we went through it. The notes were technically correct, but it was devoid of any emotion. And it was okay. Here's what I want. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's an 8-count phrase. We're going to do a crescendo for 5 and a decrescendo for 3. Why? Because it's harder to control a decrescendo, and we want to make more of the build. So we're going to do 5 plus 3. So I put 8 equals 5 plus 3 on the board. And then now let's find those phrases. And we did. And then we looked, and you saw, this, this, and this under the music. And it's like, well, okay. Well, it looks like those are exactly equal, but we're not going to do them equal.
Yeah.
Okay. But it says that it's okay. I'm telling you, it's okay to break the rules. Isn't that cool? You get to break the rules.
Yeah.
So we do 5 plus 3, and everyone. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, cool. Now we're going to slow down just a little bit at the end of that phrase. We're going to really get, and so we're shaping this music. And I said, okay, now listen to what, and I recorded them with the flat line. And I said, okay, now we're going to bring the patient to life.
There you go.
Give it a heartbeat.
I love that.
And we're gonna do 5 plus 3, and then okay, if it's in 3/4, we're gonna look at, if it's a 6-count phrase, we're gonna look at 4 plus 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we're gonna look at that. And so we added that into, and said, okay, we're gonna use a highlighter, and everywhere we have those counts, we're going to highlight in one color,
Crescendo.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The other color,
Yep.
6, 7,
I did
8.
that in my scores. I mean, red is my crescendo color, and blue is my chill color, like decrescendo. Yeah. On my iPad. I'm everything's on my iPad. So, but yes.
So I had them do that, and I said, okay, now let's play through it, and it was like suddenly it's like in the Wizard of Oz where the black and white turns into color.
Yeah, right.
It was just like that, magical. Because suddenly it was just this magical, musical, expressive thing, and it's like, could you believe that you could play that way? And
and middle school kids can do it, Yep. And I think in some ways they want to do it even more than high school kids, because they're just like, they're a little more curious sometimes.
Yep.
But that's fantastic.
And here's the thing. Then they asked me, won't you get in trouble with the judges? They were worried about me. Won't you get in trouble with the judges for doing that? Because it doesn't say that, won't they? And I said, no, I'm going to tell you what they're going to say. They're going to say, thank you for adding shape to this music. Yeah. Listen, you watch. Yeah. And I didn't play the judges.
They may not agree with what you're doing, but I'm always like, well, that was an interesting interpretation, unless it's like, unless you're playing Bach and you're playing it like you would play Stravinsky or something like that. But, everybody has their own, and that's what being an artist is about, being able to have the freedom to do that. And I tell my kids too, I said, I don't care what the judges say. Because and there's sometimes where it's like, yes, I agree with the judges on this. No, I don't agree with the judges on this, or the judges were too nice on this, and I would have graded you more harshly.
Sure.
But my thing is with LGPE and any kind of adjudicated performances, did you prepare that music the best that you could? Did you put in your 100%? Did we play the best that we could have? Right. And if we feel like we played the best and we got a 3, which never happens anyways, then, I'll be fine with that.
I totally agree with that. And to take that a step further, when they, as we prepared for this, I asked them the question, what if, just what if you play this amazing performance and somebody was eating a hot dog for lunch and got ketchup all over their shirt and they are extremely angry, and then you came in and you played beautiful and all they wanted to hear was and then they wanted to hear anger because they're predisposed. What if the mindset, because we're people, we are subject to,
Yeah.
And what they really want, and then I convince them, guys, what they really want is for you to succeed. You keep acting as if what they're looking for is mistakes, and I'm telling you what they're looking for is what you're doing right. And then I totally take the onus off of them and I say, they're not evaluating you, they're evaluating me.
That's right.
So chill.
Yeah.
This is all about me.
I mean, in a lot of ways it is. And the kids do execute everything and it's the day of or whatever, but the preparation and the music selection and is all really a reflection on the teacher. And so when kids, go in and get really bad scores, it's like, well, the music was too hard. Whose fault is that? The kids didn't pick the music, teacher did. The kids play out of tune. Well, whose fault is that? The teacher let them play out of tune. Or maybe it's because the music was too hard or whatever it might be, but it really is a reflection on the teacher. And,
Yes.
in the end, the kids have to do what they have to do, but that's all prefaced and set up by the teacher.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
If you put an inexperienced driver behind the wheel of a Maserati, they're going to wreck.
Right.
They're going to wreck because they can't control it. And so programming is critical.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot in preparing what I was going to do last year with my 8th grade and 7th grade. I learned a lot because the first month, my thought process was one thing. And then after that, I'm going to say I really mean in October, my process was one thing. And then I realized, no. This has got to be meaningful.
Yeah.
This has got to be meaningful. And it's not going to be meaningful if all I'm doing is cramming, unzipping their head, opening it and pouring in stuff. And
Yeah.
then
I like that one. I tell them that, if you don't practice, then I'm putting on the baby bib and the plastic coated spoon and spoon feeding you all these notes.
Yeah.
That's no fun for anybody.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
no fun for anybody. So prepare yourself. But yeah,
that's good. That's good. I like the spoon. I'm gonna use that spoon.
Here you go. And if we've been working on something, well, I'll be a little sarcastic, like, okay, violas, put on your bibs. We're gonna go over these 2 measures because you didn't work on them.
Yep,
We'll spoon feed
yep.
you. Yeah,
Yep.
Papa's gonna spoon feed you guys. But yes, that's it's what it is. But I love this conversation and appreciate you sharing. So what would you say are some of the big, takeaways you've gotten so far? You're in year 2
Yes.
of this whole thing. What would you say are some of the big takeaways you've had so far, or some of the big realizations that you might want to be able to share with us so far?
Okay.
Or advice for those who are thinking about doing it or just did it, because I don't know if you heard the episode a couple episodes ago with Sadie Ewing. She's a band person, but she just started her career. She's like in year 2 of teaching, and you're kind of the other extreme. You've been in band for a long time, and now you've made that switch. So tell us if you have anything, some advice or takeaways.
Okay. First, be ready for people to ask you what your primary is.
Oh, yep. And then when you say trumpet, they go, "Oh,
yep, yep."
Oh, really? Especially you have some of those string teachers who are a little critical. They're like, "Oh, really? You're teaching orchestra?"
They don't even go that far. They go, "Oh."
Oh,
it's like the 4-count "oh."
Yes.
and this one parent is actually an orchestra director, and his son was a 6th grader, and he asked me, "What is your primary?" And I said trumpet. And he went, "Oh, that's different. So what's your approach? And he was basically interviewing me for the
Right.
job.
Okay.
I let it go for about 4 questions. And then I put my hand on his shoulder and I said, I thought I already had the gig. Is this my interview? Do you need a resume?
Yeah.
And he chuckled and he said, no, I'm only asking because my son is going into your program. And I said, okay, I totally understand your apprehension. And this is the deal. We are going to learn to be musical. Okay. We are going to learn technique. We're going to learn how to play. We're going to do all that. But I'm going to tell you, every teacher sticks with their strength. Every teacher sticks with their strength. And my strength is going to be musicality. We are going to play with heart.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to learn all of the things that we need, but we're going to make it meaningful.
Yeah, that's important.
This is going to be a meaningful experience, and he's going to love it. And it was funny because we had our spring concert, and we did some music that is totally I'm trying to think of the word. I shouldn't say legit, but we did some music that is the expected music, and then we did some music that is a little outside of maybe what you hear.
Great.
And we did. I arranged a medley of the Jedi theme and Can You See Jane from Thor, and then the Marvel Endgame theme.
Sure.
Right.
Okay.
And so we put that, and they were like, "Really? We get to play this?" I said, "Yeah, let's do that, but not until we do some of this." And Can You See Jane? Da, 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 da. Suspensions, lots of musical stuff going on there, and they totally ate it up, and they were so excited about it, and I didn't have to. Okay. This is a suspension. We got to make sure these two notes are right. They're next to each other, but let's make sure that we have. They were so interested and they were so enthused about it that it all worked out. So anyway, back to your question. Things that you have to make sure that you have thick skin, and you have to make sure that you have an answer prepared when people ask you questions about why you're doing this.
Yeah.
Okay. And they're going to question your sincerity, and they're going to question your capability, and you have to just smile and understand that it's coming from a place of love for their child, and not a place of distrust for you.
Yeah.
And you have to process.
They're not trying to shame you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it'd be very easy to take it the other way.
Yeah.
The other piece I would say is have a process available for how you're going to do instrument checkout, because that is a very important thing.
Right.
Are you going to have kids buy instruments? Are you going to give them school? What is your process for how instruments get in their hands? That's going to be a very
that'll vary depending on where you are and the socioeconomic status of the school and how many school instruments you have, and there's all kinds of things. But have good processes, I guess, is what you're saying. Procedures.
In Cobb County, where we are, we don't charge for instrument rental. That's not a part of what we do. In Gwinnett County, we did.
Okay.
There was a rental fee. In Cobb County, we don't do that. But I looked at our instrument inventory, and some of it was from the Eisenhower administration, I think. It was really old, and it needed repair, and we had to. So it's okay. So what was the process before, and how do we migrate to a process without sharp objects being thrown at me, for kids being able to procure their own instruments and being able to to have that. And that's something you have to navigate.
Right.
That needs to be intentional.
Yeah. And I'm really, as I've gone through my 4 years, I've really pushed it. You need to have your own instrument. And this year I would say I have 14 cellos in my freshman orchestra class. Don't even get me started. And all but I think 2 have their own cellos. And that was not the case 4 years ago. So I've really been pushing that, and I think the middle school teachers have been pushing that too.
Yes.
And kids have been getting, so as I've been there longer, it's happening more. So you have to value it. You have to give reasons why. Like why do I need my own cello? Well, the cello at school is going to feel different than the cello at home, and you need to solidify the feel of the instrument, all that.
Right.
Yeah.
And if parents know going in that this is going to be the case, and so one of the other things I did was on the website for recruiting for this year, I made sure that everything that's on there is the way it's going to be.
Yeah.
Now, prior to my being there, this was somebody else's concept, and I really didn't have time because I wasn't hired until July. So I really didn't have time to go back in time. Our school does recruiting in the spring.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay? So I had to make sure
you had what you had already. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So I had to make sure that I migrated that, and that all the information was going forward. This is how this works.
Yeah.
And then put together. The other thing is material wise, how are method books and theory books, if you can use one, whatever, how are those going to get in kids' hands?
Yeah.
One of the things that we did was we created an orchestra bundle.
Okay.
And we looked at what kind of discount do I get for buying 170 books?
Yeah.
As opposed to what you're going to get, and you're not going to pay shipping or tax, but we're going to.
Right.
So we looked at method book, theory book, T-shirt, rosin, and tuner.
Cool.
And we put that together, we put a price on that, and we made sure that price, because of the discounts that we get from stores for the amount that we're buying, and because we don't have to pay shipping or tax.
Yeah, right.
Make sure that price is a better price than what they're going to get.
For sure.
If they get that on their own. But that way I know that that's in their hands.
Yeah. And they're getting the type of things that you want them to get in the correct book and the correct shoulder rest or whatever all those things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I have to brag on you. One of the things that's really cool is we're using the book that you were a part of.
Oh, thanks.
That Essential Elements book.
Yeah.
We are very, very happy with that. And
great. That's great.
I think it's great that you had an opportunity to be a part of that.
I am honored to be a part of that, and we're continuing to put it out there and educate people about it, especially the online component. That's a big deal, and there's a lot of value in that. So yeah, thank you, and it's exciting. It's exciting, the new stuff coming out.
Now, the other thing, as far as things tricks of the trade is how to get practicing done at home, and how do we and part of that is whether you use music first or any of the
online things.
Places where kids can go and they can get instant feedback on pitch and rhythm.
Yeah, and that is built into the Essential Elements Interactive. I'm not sure if you've been on there, but it is built into that. And there's some great features that'll actually tell you how many cents off you are. It'll tell you if you stopped a note early. Yeah, it's all like that kind of the AI grading that's part of it. Yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool, and the kids love that.
What's really great about that? Well, what's really great about that is when they're going to turn in a playing test.
Yeah,
they can do as many takes as they need to in order to get it right.
That's the goal. Yeah.
So they practice. The other thing, and this will be the last thing because I know we're running over. The other piece of that is, how do I practice? Okay. Now I read this book called Effortless Mastery, and in this book, the author basically talked about why he hated practice and why kids hate practicing.
Okay.
And his premise was kids practice what they can't do. They practice the things that are hard. They only feel like they need to play what's hard because that's what they need to improve. And practice begins to equal pain because they keep banging their head against it. So practice is going to be, a bad thing. So what his recommendation is, and I sort of tweak it, but his recommendation is this: first 5 minutes, play what you sound great playing.
Cool.
Play something that you are amazed, something mommy's going to go,
yeah.
Right?
Okay.
After that, some scales, maybe some scales, maybe some dexterity exercises, but something technical.
Mm-hmm.
Then spend 10 minutes on a predetermined chunk of music.
Cool.
Maybe 10 measures.
Yeah.
But you're gonna focus on just that. And then just before you put the instrument away, 5 more minutes if I sound great.
Yeah. I think that I think I have to change my thinking on that based upon what you're saying, because I tell, my kids at the high school particularly, they get way too much homework. They're all taking like 800 AP classes, and it's annoying, And so I'm like, I know you don't have a lot of time. So when you do have time, find an area that you need to work on and do it. But I think you're right. Like that might be detrimental in some ways for my students. And if I say now I need to tell them, it's like, take a little bit of time to play what you sound great at first, and then do the work, and then come back to it. So I think that's great advice, because I've always told my kids, like, if you sound good practicing, don't play. Don't practice that. It's like that's why that. But I am taking the joy out of it. So this is why I do this podcast, everybody, because I come to realization. It's not the only reason, but it's one of the benefits of coming is like I learn coming on here to talk to people, and wow, okay, I am changing my ways on that, and I'm going to tell kids to do that. I think that's wonderful, and it will motivate them, and it will give them some freedom and some joy, rather than, like you said, it just get to practicing, get those notes you don't know, those. Yeah, so that's great.
And I get some positive feedback from other folks. I always preach the fun joy continuum. Fun is here, joy is here. Fun is cotton candy, and it lasts 5 minutes, and then it leaves an aftertaste. You got to have more. Joy is something you have to work hard for, but it lasts a lifetime.
I love that.
There are joyful things that I've done that I can still. I look back at with tears in my eyes because they were amazing experiences.
Yeah. And
those are things worth working for. And if you give kids the choice, do you want fun or joy? It's amazing. And I did this with my high schoolers. I don't do it with middle schoolers, but when I put the line on the board, and I put a line in the middle, and I wrote fun and joy, what's amazing is they would all, from the center toward joy, put their ticks. So come and put a tick on the board.
Okay.
This
is where I want to be.
Yeah. And they would all say that. And then later in the year, it's, okay, let's go back to that first day. Let's go back to this. This is where we earn that.
Yeah.
This is where we earn that. It's not going to come cheap. This is what we got to do for this to be joyful. Yeah. That's the deal. And they don't resent it as much.
Wow.
I don't know if that helps. But.
No, it's amazing. Marc, this has been a great conversation, and I have learned a lot. I hope everybody listening has also. But thanks for taking the time to come out, and I'm so glad I asked you to be a part of this, because all this has been so valuable. If you are a band person considering strings, or you're new to the string world from the band world or any other world, whether it's the science teaching world or whatever, I hope this has been helpful. But I just appreciate it so much.
Oh, you are so welcome, and thank you so much for asking me to do this. I just respect you so much, and you are someone that I really look up to in a lot of ways. You've done such amazing things. I feel very humbled to be a part of the program. Thank you for bringing me on.
It's my pleasure, and I hope that you'll have a great rest of the school year. I'd love to. I don't know how, but maybe come visit sometime. But I know that you got great people that you're working with. You got great, you feed a great program, a great teacher, and so you have all these awesome resources to tap into as well. So I know that it's it takes time, like I said, to build, but it sounds like you're in the right path, and you're excited about it, and that's just amazing, Marc. So
yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned my theater teacher.
Yeah.
I got to mention Jacob.
Yeah, Jacob Dakin. If you know Jacob, he's I got to get him on the podcast. He's a good friend. We did our PhDs together at Ohio State, and he, I want him to talk a little bit about his move from the collegiate world to the public school world, because he spent a lot of time there. I spent a little bit of time in the collegiate world, but Jacob back as here in Cobb County, and he's just an amazing pedagogue. Yeah.
I would ask him questions, and it was like, I know this is really stupid, but I know and what's amazing about Jacob is no matter how low level the question is, he makes you feel empowered. It's like, no, this is a good question. Let me explain this to you.
Yeah.
He's just a natural born teacher. I just love working with him.
I learned a ton from Jacob, for sure. Yeah. So he's on my list. Anyways, Marc, thank you so much. This is episode 114, and I also need to explain, like, why are you in a hat? And I told Marc I had to move his episode recording back. I'm back in the baseball coaching land, and I was on the field like 25 minutes before we started recording this podcast. I'm like, I'm not changing, because people need to see that, teachers, orchestra teachers, whoever, like, we have other things we do, and so I don't always get to wear the polo and have my hair done. Like, I was sweaty. It was like 90 degrees out, and I'm hitting baseballs and throwing baseballs at kids, and so this is what we do,
Yeah.
And this is life. Anyways, but thanks so much again, Marc, and for everybody out there, and thanks for tuning in, and we will see you all next time on the Orchestra Teacher Podcast. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for listening. You can support the work I do by hitting that like button and subscribing to the Orchestra Teacher Podcast YouTube channel, and visiting www.orchestrateacher.net.